I am also graduating this year, and
Congratulations.
in about 3 weeks, there's like 16 of us going to the downtown east side to volunteer with the U of C. And we've just been learning about the problems they've been having, like mental health, drug, poverty, all that stuff. And when I tell like some people, they're like, "Why the hell would you do that? And why wouldn't you spend your reading week partying and stuff?" And I'm just kind of asking, what advice would you tell me to tell them? Like, what would you say to somebody that's so cynical about volunteering towards something as like the downtown east side? And also, what are some of the solutions to the problems that you've seen there since you're from there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, even in downtown, even that neighborhood, it's so, there's like all these cycles of like all the stuff that's happening there. It's really hard, the solutions. I mean, the one thing that Liz kept saying to us a lot was around housing being such an issue. And if you can house people, if they have all these other issues, if they have mental health issues or drug addiction, housing them is the primary thing, because if they're housed, then you can provide care. If they're not housed, then they're on the street. And it's funny because it's not funny, but it's the breakdown of what it costs taxpayers to take care of someone who is kind of in the street, homeless, getting into trouble, getting arrested, different things happening to them. It's like something like it costs you 20 grand a year to house them, and like 60 or 80 grand a year to deal with all the other problems that happen when they're just in the street. So it's like stuff like that. And then you compound that with the fact that with the Olympics and stuff, they're getting rid of all the single room occupancy stuff, and they're putting in, condos and high rises, and there's new university going in the Woodwards building. So there's all these housing issues, and there's no reason in a city like Vancouver that, they said that what was the statistic? Vancouver's always like number 1 or 2 in the world places to live. They rank it. The UN ranked that, and they also put out a report last year that said in the downtown east side they have HIV and hepatitis C rates equivalent to that of Botswana, a third world country in Africa, and so that's in our backyard. So solutions, I think about the community down there, and how I think to your friend or to someone who's cynical to the thing is like, I think that's fear-based, right? Like, well, what are you scared of? Why are you scared? Because I'll tell you, if I'm walking down the street and someone's wigged out on drugs or coming towards me or whatever, I don't really know what to do. I kind of cross the street or like, kind of want to get out of the way. Or if someone's like, hey, give me some money, like, should you get, like, what do you do? But you can't just ignore it. And I think that to your peers or whatever, say, well, I'm interested in understanding that a bit more. And because it's going to give you so much. That's the beauty of these things, man. If you go hang out in the downtown east side, if you go to a different, if I had one wish for people, it's that they would do something outside of their comfort zone. And it doesn't matter if it's going to another neighborhood in Calgary, or if it's going to Ghana, or if it's, if it's going to the downtown east side. By doing that, you learn. That's the gift of these things. I mean, if I didn't air any of this, if this was just if I spent the last few years just traveling around and doing all this, I'm a much wealthier, healthier, happier man for it. And that's the gift that you get by going to these places. And like, it's like every time you do this, it's like I'm excited to come here today because I'm further charged up about, just being able to sit here and kick it with you guys. It's like, okay, we have this dialogue, I'm up here talking or whatever, but like, the words and the inspiration and stuff, it's recharging me. So it's like, to each their own. And that person might see you doing your thing a little differently when you come back and you're hanging out with them. You don't disown your friend because they're a little fearful of it or whatever, but they might, at some point, it might be next week or next year, but they'll ask a question about it. And everyone has a different path, right? But you got to be, I think it's courageous to go and do that. And I think it's you should, celebrate that you and your peers are stepping out there and giving a shit about someone else and learning. You know what I mean? You got to care about people, man. Now it's getting a little bit more avant-garde to care, and cool culture is such an influential thing. Pop culture is such a massive thing. Biggest celebrity in the world is like this guy who has a great family and is really smart and good looking and hangs out and and he's this big heavyweight politician. There's no bigger celebrity in the world than Barack Obama. Got like freaking, when's the last time we had like paparazzi following? Did they follow Bush around? We probably couldn't have got close to him, but that's not the point. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's really interesting that cool culture and pop culture is shifting right now to engage. We used to say a lot with For Real, like that it's cool to care. That that intelligence is if you can make violence, ignorance, misogyny, all these things have this like pimp culture, all that stuff be cool, well then positivity and intelligence and love over fear, those can all be just as cool and way more impactful. So we live in an interesting time, but we have to be the ones to kind of harness that thing and push it forward. So yeah, man, go hang and come by. We're just right on the corner of Cambie and Hastings. You can come by and harass us up there on the 8th floor.
Thanks.
We have time, I think, for one more question here. Is there